of us have a watering can. This is a heavy one. But most of us go about watering with a watering can, and a lot of us will have a rose on it, and obviously that's also quite an inefficient way if you're going to go around, or with a garden hose sort of spraying your plants. It looks nice, but is it getting to the plants in the same way?
Well, talking about watering cans, I mean, the rose is great if you've got like seedlings in, or you've just sown a row of seeds and you want to settle them in, that's fine. But really the best thing you want to do is you don't want to use that, you just want to get it right down to the roots. You know, that's where it needs to go. And I mean, you get all these wonderful nozzles that go on hoses and things, but for anybody that I do work for, the nozzles come straight off and the hose just gets moved around, particularly for new planting, and it just gets put at the base of the plant. I think often these nozzles as well give you a false sense of how much water you're giving a plant, and if you just have the water coming out of the hose normally, for me, once I've got a nice puddle around that plant, and all my new planting, I tend to make little dishes around it, particularly if I'm planting in customers' gardens, you know, because any water we get then bowls around the base of the root ball and then filters straight through.
And that's a really important thing, even if you're creating drought planting, which is a great idea, you know, put those Mediterranean plants in, but they still need to be watered in or they're not going to establish.
No, that's quite right. I mean, think about plants which like Mediterranean conditions, plants which sort of will tolerate dry shade. Plants which will tolerate any extremes of conditions will only tolerate those conditions if they're well established. You're quite right, new planting won't do that. And I think you've also got to remember that if you're putting new things in the garden, for the first probably 8 or 12 weeks, which is 2 to 3 months, the plants are very much reliant on what's in that root ball. They haven't actually got enough roots out in the surrounding soil. So for me, when I'm doing new plantings, I always make sure on a regular basis I soak purely at the base of the plant to make sure that root ball is kept hydrated, because if that dries out, the plant can actually die. But if that root ball is nice and moist, then the plant can think about putting out fine roots to get into that surrounding soil, and then once it gets out and it builds that root system up, long term it'll be really good.